4. The great Hasidic master Dov Ber, the Magid of Mezritch, who was the chief disciple of the Baal Shem Tov, teaches us something extraordinary and not at all obvious about a verse from Deuteronomy. His teaching can help us frame our work during these last days of Elul, leading into the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, the 10 days of turning. The context in the book of Deuteronomy is that Moses has summoned the Israelites to hear the repetition of the 10 Commandments. And Moses tells them, Shema Yisrael, et hachukim ve'et hamishpatim, asher anochi dover be'oznechem hayom. Hear, O Israel, the laws and rules that I proclaim to you this day. Study them and observe them faithfully. And then Moses explains that on the day when the covenant was made for their ancestors, actually, it was made face to face. The Eternal spoke to you on the mountain out of the fire. And again, Moses was referring to the Israelites' parents, the generation that died out in the wilderness. But because they were afraid of the fire coming off of the mountain, off of Mount Sinai, of God's awesome power, and perhaps also afraid of the obligations and responsibilities they were taking on, Moses says something quite interesting that Dov Ber, the Magid of Mezritch, mines for meaning. Seemingly because everyone was afraid to be so near to God's presence, Moses says, Anochi omed bein Adonai uvenechem. I stood between the Eternal and you at that time to convey the Eternal's words to you, for you were afraid of the fire and did not go up on the mountain. And the Magid focuses on that first word, Anochi, which means I. And he teaches the self, which in Hebrew is Anochiyut, is the barrier that separates humanity from God. And seen through this fanciful lens, it's not Moses standing between us and God to protect us. It's actually our own egos that separate us from truly knowing the Eternal. It's our anochiyut, our sense of self, that is the barrier between us and God. This is what prevents us from walking in God's ways and from doing God's will. Instead of seeing ourselves as an instrument of God, we get caught up in ourselves and lose the way. And part of the work of these days is letting go of ego, submitting ourselves humbly to God and to those we have wronged. How many times in this year that is coming to a close, 5783, has our anochiyut, our ego, our desires, our selfishness, how often has that been the barrier between us and God, between us and others? Tonight we express our desires to return to God, to remove the barrier so that we can offer our prayers, so that we might come before God, so that God might Shema Kolenu, God might hear our prayers, hear our heartfelt confession, so that we might be worthy of the compassionate embrace of Adon HaSlichot, the Master of Forgiveness. Please continue with me responsively on page 5. We all enter into this sacred space from a variety of households, histories, traditions, and ethnicities. Some of us reflect pensively upon the year that has passed, focusing upon choices made and decisions reached.
Some of us look toward the horizon, preoccupied by what awaits.
Some of us carry the burdens of grief, pain, and concern.
Some of us are moved by gratitude and satisfaction.
Some of us bring the wisdom of age and perspective.
Some of us radiate the exuberance of youth.
We all enter into this sacred space with the knowledge that the world is not yet complete.
We all carry into this sacred space prayers for a brighter future.
We're going to make the holiday season official by changing the mantles of our Torah scrolls from maroon, from yellow, from gold to that pure, pure white, and we'll be singing on page 6.
Kevod malchuto continue on page 7. Yitzgadal, ve'yitkadash, Shmei Rabbah, Be'alma, Divera, Chirutei, Yamlik Malchutei, Bechaye Vod Yorechon, Uvaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Uvizman Karim, Vehimeru, Amen. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yitadar ve'yitale ve'yitalal shemei dekudsha Le'ela ule'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran me'alma ve'yimeru
On page 8, we continue with one of the few prayers, one of the few pieces of poetry that is particular to this evening. Slichot, I always think of as almost a real rehearsal for Yom Kippur. We say so many of those prayers and blessings and prepare ourselves for the ultimate Day of Atonement, which comes in at this point, I guess it's about 16 days. But this prayer, B'motzei Menucha, says specifically, Shabbat, this Shabbat has ended, and still we stand before you, O God of praises, listen on high, and our response each time, and you'll hear the melody, and I hope you will all join together as we say, Lishmoa el harina ve'el hatefila. Listen, hear our song and our cry after each of these verses of the acrostic poem on page 8. B'motzei menucha kidamnu chatechila Atoznecha mimarum, atoznecha mimarum, Yoshev tehila, lishmo el harina, ve'el hatafila. Lishmoa el harina, lishmoa el harina, lishmoa et yemin ozorera, et yemin ozorera, lasut chayil, betzedek nekad, v'nishchat emurayil, genona gizo, bezakom, be'olayil. לשמוע אל הרינה ואל התפילה. לשמוע אל הרינה, לשמוע אל הרינה, לשמוע אל הרינה ואל התפילה. Please join together in the middle of page 8. As you reached out for the sake of Father Isaac, beloved son who gave himself to you, cover his children who cry to you this night with your protecting shield. O hear our song and our prayer. El Draw near and turn to all who turn to you. Embrace all who seek you with a whole heart. From heaven's heights, turn to us. O hear our song and our prayer. God, with fear and trembling we stand before you, humbly beseeching, blot out our transgressions, as in your presence we shake like a woman in travail. O hear our song and our prayer. Lishmoa el harina, Lishmoa el harina. Just creator of your worlds, every creature, keeper and sustainer of all, sustain us now with love you have shown from the first. O hear our song and our prayer. Lishmoa el harina, Lishmoa el harina. Many are the sins of your people, too many to count. Nevertheless, we plead for your mercy, exalted one. On all who stand before you, O hear our song and our prayer. Lishmoa el harina, el harina, el hatefila. Pity our suffering, overlook our sins. Remember our need when you hear our plea, God of the hosts of heaven. Spare us, gracious God, and cleanse all who cry out to you. O hear our song and our prayer. Lishmoa el harina, רצה רצה עתירתם ביומם בלילות. רצה רצה עתירתם ביומם בלילות. שאינה ורצון, שאינה ורצון כקורבן קליל ועלוד. שאינה ורצון כקורבן קליל ועלוד. תרם ניסיך עושה גדולות, עושה גדולות, לשמוע אל הרינה, אל הרינה ואל התפילה. This night, may our offering be acceptable, our vows receive with favor as the sacrifice of old. Wondrous God, maker of miracles, make us to see the miracle of forgiveness.
This is really happening. And it is happening to you. And you are seriously unprepared. And it is real whether you believe in God or not. Perhaps God made it real and perhaps God did not. Perhaps God created this pageant of judgment and choice, of transformation, of life and death. Perhaps God created the book of life and the book of death, teshuvah, and the blowing of the shofar. Or perhaps these are all just inventions of human culture. It makes no difference because it is equally real in any case. The weeks and the months and the years are also inventions of human culture. Time and biology are inventions of human culture. Language and stories, love and tragedy, they're all adventures in human culture. But they are all matters of life and death, all real and inescapable. It makes no difference. This moment is before us with its choices, and the consequences of our past choices are before us, as is the possibility of our transformation. So shares Rabbi Alan Liu of blessed memory in his masterpiece of High Holy Day spiritual/psychological preparation titled, "This is Real and You Are Completely Unprepared, the Days of Awe as a Journey of Transformation." And no, this message is not just for all of the anxious clergy here staring down an ever-growing task list less than a week before Rosh Hashanah. This message is for all of us, every single one. We who yearn to live lives of meaning. We who wrestle with who we are and who we hope to become. Whatever constitutes this moment, it is real. It has arrived, and so have we. Slichot is the changing of the mantle, the opening of gates. Whatever imagery you can conjure at the beginning of this transformation process, of soul accounting, of reflection and renewal, conjure it. Because whatever constitutes this moment, it is real, it has arrived, and so have we. So tonight we pray, we sing, we open our hearts and our minds, we contemplate our past choices and their consequences. We say, I am enough, or I am kenaf. And with broken hearts, we march forward toward our destiny. Because whatever constitutes this moment, it is real, it has arrived, and so have we.
What we hope, what we dream, our dearest prayers can't be broken. What we deny, what we discard, our deepest fears spoken, but our love and our joy with our hearts can be open to you, to you, to you. Leman yezamer hachavod velo your love and your joy from your heart be my emotion, so my soul and my voice will rise up to be spoken to you. למען יזמר הכבוד ולא יידום. למען יזמר הכבוד ולא יידום. אדוני אלוהי לעולם עודך. So the weight of these wrongs that I've done won't define me, while the pain of these sins I recall won't define me. The weight of these wrongs that I've done won't define me, while the pain of these sins I recall won't confine me. למען יזמר הכבוד ולא יידום. למען יזמר הכבוד ולא יידום. אדוני אלוהי לעולם עודך. What we hope, what we dream, our deepest prayers can't be broken.
Page 11, words of El Melech Yoshev. We ask God to give us a little extra compassion before we recite the Vidui for the first time this season. El Melech Yoshev al kisei rachamim mitnaheg b'chasidut mochel avonot
וסליחה לפושעים עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ורוח לא כרעתה תגמול. אל הורית לנו לומר 13 זכור לנו היום ברית 13 כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם כמו שכתוב.
וירד אדוני מעמם ויתייצב שם ויקרא בשם אדוני.
We turn now to page 12, and I'll ask you to read responsively with me. During the holy days ahead, the book of remembrance will be sealed. It speaks for itself. For each of us has signed it with deeds. This is the sobering truth which both frightens and consoles us. Each of us is an author writing with deeds in life's great book, and to each you have given the power to write lines that will never be lost. No song is so trivial, no story so commonplace, no deed is so insignificant that it is not recorded. No kindness is ever done in vain. Each mitzvah leaves its imprint. All our deeds, the good and the bad, are noted and recorded. Help us to remember always that what we do will live forever, that the echoes of the words we speak will resound until the end of time.
Shema koleinu Adonai Eloheinu Chus verachem aleinu aleinu וקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו. השיבנו אדוני אליך, השיבנו אליך ונשובה, חדש ימינו, ימינו כקדם. תשליכנו. אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה ככלות כוחנו. אל תעזבנו. שמע קולנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חוס ורחם עלינו, עלינו. וקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו.
כרחמיו על בנים, ריחם אדוני על יראיו, כי חיגבו השמיים על הארץ, גבר חסדו על יראיו. כרחמיו
Please join me responsively at the bottom of page 13. For the sin we have committed, we prepare to stand before God, ourselves, and our community to declare our shortcomings, a brave and frightening exercise in a world where our inadequacies and failings can quickly become public. For the sin which we commit. We confront our deficits, all the times we promised ourselves that this time would be different. all the times we spoke or acted or wrote with impunity, believing that we could get away with it this time, the sin which we have committed. Despite knowing that we will fall short, we still believe this year can be different. We affirm optimism that is essential to our faith. We believe in ourselves and in others. We believe that we stand here on this day and in the Yamim Noraim that will follow, and promise God, ourselves, and our community that this year, of all the years, we will attain our goals.
Good evening. I have to admit that I'm glad that I'm introducing the Vidui prayer, because for me it's one of the only ones that I truly can relate to during the High Holy Days. A lot of the other concepts that are in there, including the idea that there's a book up there somewhere and everything I do is written in it, I have to wrap my head around it. But when we get to the section where we're talking literally about what I've done wrong this year, I'm sorry to say, but every year I can relate to it. This year, as I was just kind of reading about tonight and what we do, I found this story that just kind of rejuvenated for me what the Vidui is all about, this confessional section. That is it really just about me and my sins? I think this sheds some light on it. So there's a story of this boy Joseph and his younger brother Shlomo. If you don't know me, every story that I tell has to have a character Shlomo in it. And the two of them go with their father to Slichot. And this is the first time Shlomo had ever been to Slichot, because he was always a little kid. And on this particular Shabbat, he took a nap in the afternoon, just like me, and so that he could be awake for this very, very late at night service that he had never been able to go to. So he's sitting with his father during the entire service, and he's looking at his father intently. You know, what's happening in my dad's heart? What's happening in his eyes? And he finally gets to one prayer where his father looks more serious than he'd ever seen him before. And his head is down, and his hand is pounding his chest. And Shlomo had no idea what this was. He didn't understand Hebrew yet. But he had never seen his father so serious. Why was he punching himself in the chest? So he asks his older brother, that would have been bad. He asks his older brother after the service, he says, what was that all about when Dad looked so serious and was pounding himself? And he said, well, that is the prayer of confession. And Shlomo's like, what's confession mean? And he says, his brother says to him, confession is when you do something wrong and you say, I'm sorry I did that. That is confession. And he says, what's the prayer say? He says to his brother. And his brother says, you know, it actually follows the Aleph Bet. It goes through the entire alphabet and lists an alphabet of sins that all of us do. And the words mean things like, you know, I've sinned because I spoke falsely. I've sinned because I've robbed. And then Joseph looks at his brother, and Shlomo's literally, tears are streaming down his face, and he's crying. He says, what's the matter? He says, wait a minute. I always thought Dad was the most wonderful person in the world. Why is he saying all of these things? Did he really do those things? And he says, no. That's not the point of the Vidui prayer. It's not necessarily that he's done them, but all Jews at the same time, even the wisest of rabbis, Rabbi Zweibeck, reads these prayers and these sins because all Jews are like one body. And when any part of the body is sick, the whole body feels bad. So when one Jew sins, all Jewish people feel it. Therefore, the prayer mentions all possible sins in the order of the Aleph Bet, so that we're talking about any Jew, anywhere, any country may have done it. That's why the prayer says, we have sinned. All of us together. It shows how responsible we are for one another, and how we must always help others to be the best that they can be. Shlomo wiped his eyes. He felt much better because now he could continue to think that his father was the most wonderful person on the face of the earth. And he also realized that when he would do the confessions, it wasn't just for him, but it was for all of us.
Tavo lefanecha, on page 14. Eloheinu, Elohe Avotenu v'Imotenu, Tavo, Tavo lefanecha, Tefilateinu, Ve'atitalam mitchinateinu, she'ein anachnu hazefani mukshe oref lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Tzadikim anachnu velo chatanu
We continue responsively on the bottom of page 14. We all have committed offenses. Together we confess. Hatred, injustice, and jealousy. Some of us have kept grudges, were lustful, malicious, or narrow-minded. Others were obstinate or possessive, quarrelsome, rancorish, or selfish. We have transgressed, been unkind, violent, weak, and xenophobic. Our sins are an alphabet of woe.
Ay, 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 ay,
Avinu Ve'hir shanu. Ve'hir shanu. Zanu. Zanu. Hamasnu. Hamasnu. Tafalnu shaker. Tafalnu shaker. Ay, 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 ay.
He's of new. Lots new. Marat new. Niats new. Sarah new. Avinu. Hashanu. Saranu. Hishinu oreh. Ay, 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 ay,
Rashanu. Shichatnu. Tiavnu. Tainu. Titanu.
This evening of Slichot, of apologizing, this season of repentance and forgiveness, it's interesting to imagine, is there any sin or any transgression that would be unforgivable, that God would never forgive? Well, interestingly, the answer can be found in this morning's Torah portion in Nitzavim. If you look in chapter 29 of Deuteronomy, verses 17 and 18, there's some interesting verses where it says, after all of these beautiful words are spoken, it says, "Perchance there is someone here now whose own heart is turning away from Adonai to worship other gods. Perchance there is someone right here, right now, who thinks that they have some special immunity and will follow their own willful heart." And then Torah says that person, God will never forgive. So that's interesting. And it's worth pausing for a moment because it doesn't say that anywhere else in Torah for any other transgression, that God will never forgive that person for doing anything else. So what is the transgression, the worst thing that we could do, that God could not forgive? The thing is to think that all of this power, prayer, poetry, all of this majesty, music, message does not apply to you. That somehow none of this has anything to do with you. And a more positive way to perhaps look at that is that you, individual you, matter. That in the sea of voices that come together singing and reading for High Holy Days, that in the sea of congregants and community members that fill the sanctuary, you matter. That to the creator of the universe, you matter. We continue on page 16.
We invite you once again to rise as you're able. The Vidui Rabbah, the large confession, continues on page 17. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'zadon uvishgaga ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'dibur peh, together. For the sin we have committed against you deliberately and by mistake, and for the sin we have committed by the words we have spoken.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha be'imutz halev, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tivshut peh. For the sin we have committed against you by hardening our hearts, and for the sin we have committed against you through careless speech.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chachash uv'harzav, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'rchilut.
For the sin we have committed against you through lies and deceit, and for the sin we have committed through slander. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'flilut, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'zilzul horim u'morim. For the sin we have committed against you by judging others unfairly, and for the sin we have committed by disrespecting parents and teachers.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'vidui peh, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'hona'at re'ah.
For the sin we have committed against you through insincere apologies, and for the sin we have committed by mistreating our neighbor. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chozek yad, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'masa uvmatan. For the
sin we have committed against you through violence and abuse, and for the sin we have committed through dishonesty in business. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'galui uvasater, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'frichat ol.
For the sin we have committed against you openly and secretly, and for the sin we have committed by lack of self-control. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'gilui arayot, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'ma'achal uvmishteh.
For the sin we have committed against you through sexual immorality, and for the sin we have committed through gluttony. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'nesach uv'marbit.
For the sin we have committed against you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and for the sin we have committed by greed and exploitation. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'latzon, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'netiat garon.
For the sin we have committed against you through cynicism and scorn, and for the sin we have committed by arrogant behavior. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'sinat chinam, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tum'at svatayim.
For the sin we have committed against you through baseless hatred, and for the sin we have committed by offensive speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'lshon hara, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tzarut ayin. For the sin we have committed against you by evil speech, and for the sin we have committed by selfish and petty behavior.
Ve'al kulam Eloha Slichot, slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these things, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. Please be seated.
Am I there for those who need me? Giving of my heart completely. Have I been caring and have I been patient? Have I forgiven without reservation? Do I take my days for granted? treated others even-handed, and shown compassion to the homeless stranger? Have I been humble before my Creator? Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Eloha Slichot, ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Eloha Slichot, ve'al kulam.
Have I tread lightly on this planet? Have I held fast to our commandment? And have I raised my voice against injustice? Have I been giving or have I been selfish? Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Eloha Slichot, ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Eloha Slichot, ve'al kulam, Selav lanu, Nechalanu, Kaper lanu,
Ve'al kulam,
Selav lanu, Nechalanu, Kaper lanu,
ve'al kulam,
Ve'al kulam,
Sa'enai,
Ve'al kulam,
Heharim,
Eloha Slichot,
Me'ayin yavo Isri,
Ve'al kulam, Ve'al kulam, Eloha Slichot, Ve'al kulam.
If you take a moment, you'll see at the bottom of page 20 the Avinu Malkeinu, which we translate to as our Father, our Ruler. And I love the image of the two images that I see. One of them is seeing God as a father, and one is seeing God, or as a parent actually, and one is seeing God as a melech, as a king or a ruler. And what's powerful about that, much the way we see a parent who judges us on one hand, but does it in a loving and caring way. A way I think that a very good friend can do as well. So at this moment, as we enter the time of judgment, to know that we have a loving parent who judges us with mercy and with kindness is both powerful and I think very humbling in so many ways. The Avinu Malkeinu, the bottom of page 20.
Avinu Malkeinu, Oneinu Vaneinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Oneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu maasim, Asei imanu, Tzedakah
Just a few words of gratitude before we conclude. Most importantly, to all of you for joining us here and for everybody who's joining us online. We're so grateful that you're with us. You're part of this community, and it's so beautiful that Temples Emmanuel and Isaiah have joined us here on our campus at Stephen Wise Temple. We're really grateful to you all for being with us. It's so beautiful to see our community come together. None of this could have happened without the extraordinary efforts of our amazing cantorial team. Thank you to Randall Schloss and Lizzie Weiss and Emma Lutz. Thank you so, so much. And to our intern here at Stephen Wise Temple, Andrew Pascal. Our incredible musicians, Lisa Edwards and Tali Tadmore. And we're joined by, we've got Larry and Yaron and Chris. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all of you. Our amazing quartet, Meredith, Ann, Greg, and Matthew. And I want to just thank all of my And I want to thank all of our incredible rabbis for being here with us this evening. We're so grateful to you, to Rabbi David Woznicka, Rabbi Sari Laufer, Rabbi Josh Noble, Rabbi Jonathan Aaron, Rabbi Zoe Klein, Rabbi Leora Albin, Rabbi Jacqueline Cohen. I'm so grateful. Did I forget any of our rabbis? Thank you, rabbis. Wonderful. And to Hasharim, thank you so much for raising your voices and for being with us. Again, thanks everyone for joining us. I want to wish you the most meaningful new year. May 5784 be a year of forgiveness, a year of compassion, a year of love and goodness for us all. We're going to conclude with Adon HaSlichot, and we can find this on pages 21 and 22.
Ra
Please rise. Tekiah. Shivarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shivarim teruah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Tekiah gedolah.